Hi, everyone. It's Christopher, Mono County Library Director and co-host of the Oxygen Starved podcast. It's Book Talk Friday, so I'm here with two great library books for you to check out, one new and one slightly older. I'm recording this here in the Lee Vining Library in the Mono Basin, and as I talk, there is a multitude of snow removal and earth-moving equipment on the highway just outside, with teams beginning to tackle those massive avalanche sides that took out power to communities just north of here, cut off access between the north and the south portions of our county, and isolated entire communities. It's a stark reminder that every day in the Eastern Sierra, we are at nature's mercy, especially in winter when a particularly bad series of storms can damage infrastructure, or perhaps more often, one poor judgment call can strand you in your vehicle for hours on end with no cell service and no help for miles and miles. Yet it's the immense power and beauty inherent in the Sierra Nevada that draws many of us here in the first place, which brings me to my pick for the new title this week, The High Sierra, a Love Story by Kim Stanley Robinson. Robinson is a well-known sci-fi writer, and this is his first stab at nonfiction, and you quickly understand why. In a backstory eerily similar to many others who live up here, Robinson first came to the Sierra in college in the 70s on a somewhat ill-equipped and, in his case, LSD-influenced hiking trip with friends. He, of course, fell in love with these mountains and has been returning ever since, becoming an avid hiker and an explorer and immersing himself in their geology and history. He used downtime during the pandemic to compose this sweeping love letter to the Sierra Nevada, sharing his personal stories and the knowledge he picked up along the way. The Sierra Nevada are big, so it's a big topic and it's a big book, but he makes it approachable by categorizing each chapter with a series of general subject headings such as geology, people, hiking routes, snow camping, my Sierra life, which are his personal recollections, and towards the end, moments of being. This makes it easier to pick up and put down the book one chapter at a time, but it is an enthralling read. It's a big, beautiful ode to the Sierra that Publishers Weekly described as a heartfelt rendering of intense emotional interactions with the natural world that pulsates with life. Now, Robinson clearly loves nature, and as a sci-fi writer, it factors into his novels as well, and that brings me to my older pick for this week, The Ministry for the Future, which really only came out about 3 years ago, but it's centered around humanity and nature and climate change. Famous for setting his plots in some of his books on Mars, this novel sets the plot decidedly on Earth, and only a few decades into the future, when our inability to curb climate change is having large-scale catastrophic consequences. One he uses as a linchpin here is wet bulb temperature, which is a way of measuring air temperature and humidity to understand the true effect of heat on living things. Very often in humid parts of the country, we know the TV meteorologist will say, well, the temperature of the day is going to be 91 to 93, but due to humidity, it will feel like it's over 100. The theory is that when it gets so warm that the feels like temperature is 160, the human body will start to cook. And in this book, a large-scale heat wave happens in India, resulting in a massive-scale human tragedy which causes one man to snap and kidnap Mary Murphy, the head of the UN's Ministry for the Future, originally set up to address climate change on a global scale, but clearly not doing enough. Robinson then moves forward with a story from what Rolling Stone describes as a geeky, exuberant imagination to take a very plausible look at just what may ensue after such an event, involving the science and eco-terrorism and politics, but most importantly, money. This book has been described as demonstrating a knowledge not just of the science of climate change, but the push and pull of money in our global attempts to control it. In the end, Publishers Weekly describes this one as a sweeping, optimistic portrait of humanity's ability to cooperate in the face of disaster. And of course, we in Mono County can certainly understand that cooperation in the face of disaster is everything. This is The Ministry for the Future. This is The High Sierra, a love story, both by Kim Stanley Robinson, both available at Mono County Libraries. Come in and grab one of these or another great read. In the meantime, stay safe, stay warm, and happy reading.